He was coming home close to midnight. He couldn't help that his relief had been late. His relief was perpetually late, but that's a different story. As he hit his block, the home stretch, as he often called it, as his foot touched the street, he heard a crow call out into the darkness. He froze. He thought it was strange. He'd never heard a crow calling out in darkness before. He actually began to look for this thing up at the treetops and everything, and he heard it call again. And then he heard the flap and flutter of wings. He ducked instinctively, thinking the crow had flown at his head. But as he looked around, he saw that the crow was on the ground, and it had somehow gotten its foot wrapped in a piece of root or some sort of vine that had fallen from the tree. It was stuck, and it flapped desperately, trying to get itself free. He approached the crow calmly with his hand stretched out, talking to it softly, trying to reassure it he wasn't going to hurt it. The crow stopped flapping and regarded him with oily black eyes. He reached to the back of his belt where he kept his tack knife, which he used for work purposes and for his own defense because he rode public transportation at night. He began to cut away at the vine piece that had entangled the crow's foot. And slowly he watched the crow's foot change into a bare human foot. He looked at its sole, and he watched the toes flex and bend. He had, in his shock, stopped cutting and looked up to see the crow had changed into a beautiful young girl. She regarded him with those oily black eyes. Her clothes were made out of feathers, and she had long black flowing hair, wild, with the crow feathers strewn about. She continued to watch him as he went back to cutting. He freed her. She flexed her ankle. She hopped up, and as her feet left the ground, she changed back into a crow and called off and flew off into the night. He took a couple minutes to process this. He had heard all sorts of manners and stories of weird paranormal events happening to people, and he, for the life of him, never thought he'd ever be in one. He went in. He showered to get ready for bed. And while in the shower, he tried to justify what happened. Tried to explain it away, and much to his chagrin, he couldn't figure out an explanation that would satisfy. The crow had turned into a young woman in front of him. He didn't know how that was possible. So as he got to his bed, there came a tapping, as if someone gently rapping at the chamber door. No, it's a different story. There came 3 taps at the window by his bed. Dot, 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 dot. He pulled back the curtains. The crow sat at the window, tapping it with its beak. Bop, 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 bop. He opened the window, and the crow flew in, circled the room, sat and perched on his dresser, and slowly transformed back into the young woman. She smiled at him. He nervously smiled back. She said, "You've freed me, so I'm here to grant you a wish." Confused, he told her he didn't want a wish granted. He didn't need the wish granted. Doing the good turn, like he was taught in Boy Scouts, was its own reward. Do a good turn daily. The crow, she thought this was odd. Every human had wishes. Every human had desires. Say his wish, and she can pay him back. He didn't want her to pay him back. He wanted her to leave so he could go to sleep. He had work in the morning. He did the good deed just to do the good deed. This was crazy, the crow thought. She even said it. This was crazy. No human had ever turned down an offer from her kind before. He pointed to the window, and she got the message. She jumped off the dresser and changed into her crow form and flew out. He closed the window and locked it behind him. And that night, as he slept, he dreamt. He dreamt of the crow girl, belly dancing, barefoot, in strange places, an enchanted forest, the tabletop to some tent, a desert landscape with the moon full and huge in the background, dancing for him, telling him to give in to his desires, tell her. His wish was her command. He even dreamt about her dancing above him on his bed as he lay there in the bed. Did he give in? He couldn't remember as he jolted awake in a cold sweat. He couldn't remember if he had given in the dream, had he said something, when there came 3 taps at his window. It said that now that he walks around, sometimes with a beautiful young woman hand in hand, sometimes with a crow sitting on his shoulder, looking at him attentively, waiting for his words, waiting for his wish, his desire.